Good morning on this rainy day. It's Wednesday, and this day last year, March 17th, I posted my first daily dose of hope. Hard to believe it's been a year, but here we are. And since it's Wednesday, we will continue looking at the last words of Christ as he hung on the cross. You know, there is nothing more basic to human life than water. We can live without food for more than a month, but we can only survive without water for about a week. If we lose more than 20% of our normal water content, we'll die within hours. Water is the most basic of all human needs. As Jesus hung on the cross, the hours of torture took a tremendous toll on his body. In fact, his body is dying. It's almost over. The loss of fluids has reached a critical level. The compressed heart is struggling. His body is cramping. The tortured lungs are making a frantic effort to gasp in small gulps of air. He's dehydrated, probably not having had a drink since the Passover meal the night before. And so, with whatever strength is still available, he says, "I thirst." He was thirsty, probably thirstier than he's ever been. Up until this time, the words Jesus uttered from the cross were for others. First for forgiveness, then reassurance, comfort, care, understanding of our pain and these feelings of abandonment that we sometimes have. But now we hear the first words that sound like they're for himself, the first words of his need. I thirst. So, what does this fifth word say to us? What's it mean? Well, first off, and probably of the most logical importance, is that Jesus' words, I thirst, remind us of Jesus' physical nature, his humanity. He was every bit fully human as well as fully divine, and he wasn't play acting or pretending on the cross. This was tangible, physical suffering, and thirst was part of that. But also, Jesus is fulfilling his mission as God in the flesh, a mission referred to throughout the Old Testament, a mission in which the Messiah would come and save Israel, actually save the whole world, and bring about God's reign on earth. But according to Scripture, to bring about this salvation, the Messiah would have to die a suffering servant's death. He had to drink a bitter cup of pain and sorrow, a cup Jesus prayed would pass him by. Yet Jesus knows that drinking this cup is the only way to reconcile the Holy Creator with sinful creation. And so Jesus says, I'm thirsty. Thirsty to have God's will be done. Thirsty for God's righteousness to be filled. Thirsty for God's people to be reconciled to him. Jesus is thirsty for our benefit. And because of that, no more will sin or sorrow reign. No more will the homeless and the orphaned be thirsty. No more will the widow or the abused or the sick or the dying cry out for a cool drink of water. No more. The cries of every thirsty human being have been heard from the cross. It's over. The Scripture is fulfilled. The Messiah has come. The suffering servant has endured. God is glorified, and humanity is free. My friends, if you ever wondered if a powerful God really cares, and if he can really hear us when we cry, I'm thirsty, let me answer that for you. Yes, yes. And I can say that because Scripture tells us that God has gone before us on this journey we call life. God in Jesus walked the dusty roads of struggle and insecurity. He knows what it is to grieve, to be betrayed, and to have his most loyal of friends fade into the angry, screaming mob when he needed their encouragement and support the most. And he is the only God who is willing to suffer as we suffer. In fact, he's the only God who understands us fully because he's walked in our shoes and knows the most basic pains and needs of the human experience. He's the only one who took on flesh to understand our humanity. And because of that, he's the only one who knows what to do when we need help, when we don't know what to do, when we are drowning in the flood of life, when we need a companion who will reach out to take our hand. The thing is, had it not been for Jesus walking our human pathway, we could so easily fall into despair, feel hopeless, give up. But instead, because he came, because he lived, and because he died for us, we can rejoice even in the midst of our struggles, because in Jesus' anguish, we see our own trials and disappointments. And we see a God who gets us, who sees us, and who knows what we are going through. In fact, he knows everything about us. And you know what? That gives me hope. And I want that to give you hope too. So now today, please stay safe. Keep wearing your mask, washing your hands. Please get your vaccine. And always stay hopeful. It's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. God said so. Now go find some blessings and know that I love you and I'm praying for you. I'll see you soon. Peace.